Hey, what's up, Huckers? It's Big Country, and we're here with another disc review. You know, we've been doing a lot of putters, a lot of slow speed stuff lately, and we had a few requests for a new disc that's from Westside Discs. It's called the Longbowman. So I figured I'd pick some Longbowman up from our friends over at Infinite Discs and give them a review. So this is the newest driver from Westside Discs. It is control fairway type driver. I've got one in VIP plastic and one in tournament plastic. I do throw Westside high-speed drivers. I throw a sword and a giant, and I do prefer the tournament blend of plastic, so we'll see if that holds true for the Longbowman as well. So you can see it's pretty flat. The tournament one, as is typical of tournament plastic Westside drivers, is a little domier. This one, let's see here. Our VIP is 173, and our tournament is 173. Both pink. It's got kind of a blunter nose, and the rim feels Teebird-ish. A little wider maybe, but pretty similar to a Teebird. The flight numbers on this that Westside Discs give it is a speed 9, a glide of 4, turn of 0, and a fade of 3. If you're like me and you throw Westside Discs, you'll know that oftentimes their flight numbers are not too accurate. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these fly. Typically, the tournament plastic is a little less stable all around than the VIP. And the VIP is just ever slightly more flat on top. Neither one of these are really domey, but the tournament definitely has more rise to it than this VIP. The VIP, I can already tell, feels really good for a sidearm, and pretty good for a nice backhand power grip too. It's real tight. There's a lot of varying early reviews about this. Some people say it flies like an eagle. Some people say it flies like a T-bird. Some people say it flies like a Firebird, a Banshee. I've heard a million different things. So we're going to compare it against a pretty wide variety of discs out in the field. We're going to start off, we're going to compare them all backhands, then sort of narrow it down from there, some forehands, some overhands, and then hopefully take it out to the course. So the disc that we're going to be comparing it against is the Discmania FD3. This one is fairly lightweight. It's 168 grams, so that might affect it. But this has the exact same flight ratings as the Westside Longbowman. Speed of 9, glide of 4, turn of 0, fade of 3. Discmania, being in the Innova family, their flight numbers tend to be a little truer just because Innova is the one who came up with flight numbers. So this will be a pretty good comparison. FD3 is a little overstable. We also have the Reptilian Disc Golf Raptor. This is my overstable fairway driver of choice. This is in their Armor Flex plastic. It's max weight at 175. Very overstable. It replaced Banshees for me. We're also going to throw the new Nate Sexton Colored Glow Firebird from Innova. This is Nate Sexton's tour disc. If you guys know who Nate Sexton is, he's a great pro. He's got a wicked good sidearm and backhand too. He's a great putter. Basically just a great all-around player, so you can't go wrong if this is his Firebird of choice. I've heard a lot of people compare this Firebird to the FD3 as opposed to your traditional FAF Firebird, which are really, really overstable. Firebirds right now are my overstable control driver of choice, so this will be a good comparison. I keep one of these in the bag. And then lastly, our other comparison disc. We're going to do this in the keep it in the Trilogy family. And what we have here is a Dymax Felon, nice Captain America shield. I picked this up. This is a 175. I picked this up at a Trilogy 2-disc challenge that our local club hosted. Saw this. Of course, I had to put it as part of my 2 discs. Paid quite a bit extra in my players pack to get that. So that's 4 discs that we're going to compare these against. And I'm pretty excited to throw this, actually. It's got kind of a blunt nose, so it's probably not super fast, but, I'll be able to just crank on it with all my might, and we'll see how it goes. So, that's our intro. Let's get these credit things out of the way, and then get out in the field and start throwing. Alright guys, we're out here at the field. This is Wide Field, one of my favorite disc golf courses, one of my home courses, and we're going to throw the Longbowman. We're going to start off to throw flat, hyzer, anhyzer, sidearm, and maybe overhand. We got this big nice field behind me. That really big tree down there is like 450, so unless I suddenly figure out how to play disc golf really well, we won't be throwing these that far, but hopefully we can get a good look at how these go. So once again, we got what the tournament one is light pink and our VIP is bright pink. So let's give these a throw and then we'll compare them against some other discs. Well, that was interesting. Definitely a little less overstable than I expected. It's still got a really hefty fade on it and really not a lot of turn, as you guys saw when I tried the anhyzer. Now granted, anhyzers and forehands aren't really my specialty, but you could tell it's got a pretty good resistance to turn. So before I get into comparing it to the really overstable stuff, I'm going to take the tournament Longbowman against this Star Teebird. This is the newest run of Star Teebirds with the Avery Jenkins signature on them. It's quite a bit domier than the Longbowman, but it's still got a good resistance to turn. So we're gonna try just some flat shots, maybe some hyzers, and we'll see how they end up. It looks like the Longbowman, the rim's a little bit wider, but the nose is a little blunter, so we'll see. We got the tournament Longbowman versus Star Teebird. The grass is a little wet, and I'm wearing my gym shoes, not my disc golf shoes, so you can tell I slipped a little bit when throwing the Longbowman. So we're going to try one more flat Longbowman versus Teebird, then we'll try some hyzers. In those throws we had a slight little bit of headwind, so you saw a little more wiggle than you would normally. But again, that's not a lot of headwind, maybe 5 miles an hour max. So let's try some hyzers. The Longbowman so far is going farther than the Teebird, and it's also fading harder, which makes sense based just solely on flight numbers. So in the last throw, the Longbowman went farther, even though it held that hyzer line the whole way. Whereas the Teebird flipped to flat and then faded and kind of stalled out. So, as you saw from the first test, I found that the VIP Longbowman tends to be a little more overstable than the tournament plastic one. So we're going to throw it against the Discmania FD3 We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna throw flat, and we're gonna throw hyzer. We'll see which one's better. First up, VIP Longbowman. You guys saw there, I got a late release on the Longbowman. I really pulled it. Hopefully it came out on camera. But as you saw, it still fought out of it, still had good fade, even though I messed up the shot. So that's good, it's nice and reliable. The FD3, however, even discounting my pulled shot with the Longbowman, is just way more overstable. You guys remember from the intro video, this is pretty light. It's 166 as opposed to 173. So 2-3 grams weight difference isn't gonna make a huge difference flight wise, but here we're talking about 7 grams. It should make a significant difference. So even though they have identical flight numbers, it seems like the FD3 is just much more overstable. So let's throw some hyzers. Hopefully I can hit the line with this VIP Longbowman, and we'll see which one does a pure glidey hyzer better. That was a tad unexpected. They ended up actually right next to each other. The FD3 had pushed just ever so slightly more left. The Longbowman held a pure hyzer line. I felt it really glided, where the FD3 was just ow. So what I'm leaning towards is your Longbowman is going to be more of a straight to fade disc, similar to a Teebird, where something like the FD3 is just a fade disc, really utility. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this VIP, and we're going to throw it up against Dynamic Disc Dymax Felon, Innova Nate Sexton Glow Champion Tour Series Firebird, and Reptilian Disc Golf Armorflex Raptor. We're going to find which one's closest to Longbowman, then we're going to throw some sidearms with them, and then I'll be back with some final conclusions. So first up, as always, VIP Longbowman. I've managed to pull my shot on flat ground. So here's the Sexton Firebird. Walk over here, and it's exactly on line, distance-wise, as the Longbowman, which is like 50 feet this way. Ta-da! Now if we go up here by this tree, you'll find the much harder faded Felon and Raptor. So these two are out. They don't fly much like the Longbowman. In theory, the Sexton Firebird does. So we'll give them some sidearms and some hyzers, and we'll see where we go from here. You can think of a better way to test an 8 Sexton Firebird than with a sidearm. I'm all ears. We're gonna try it. Granted, my sidearm isn't nearly as good as his. So we got VIP Longbowman again versus a Sexton Firebird. We're gonna throw a new wrinkle in here. We're also going to forehand the tournament Longbowman. We'll see how this goes. First up, VIP Longbowman. Well, our VIP Longbowman was, on the sidearm anyway, most similar to the Sexton Firebird. The tournament just had a little more turn 2, a little more glide, just not really comparable. There's a lot of people waiting to play the course, so we got to hurry it up. So we're going to do 2 more final shots, then we'll be back with the conclusions. We're going to throw the VIP Longbowman on a hyzer. We're going to throw the Saxon Firebird on a hyzer. We're going to see where it goes, and then you'll be back to hear my melodious voice once again. Well, there you go, folks. There's the official Huck and Aces review of the Westside Discs Longbowman. I threw it by itself, of course, and then against a bunch of other discs. And what I found is both the tournament and the VIP Longbowman are closest in flight to this Innova Sexton Firebird, which is quite a bit different than your normal Firebird. So this is my bag here in Upper Parks Rebel, and I carry just a regular old Ken Climo Champion Firebird. Not particularly flat, and this thing is just wicked overstable compared to these Sexton Firebirds, which are like the beefiest Teebird you've ever thrown, even though the rim's wider and it's quite a bit faster. But the rim is comparable in width to the Longbowman, but that's about where the similarities stop. The Longbowman's got a blunter nose. It's got a very, very different lip on it. If you can compare those two, could not be more dissimilar. And there's a VIP next to the tournament. They have the same lip, same parting line height, all that technical mumbo jumbo that you guys all love, I'm sure. So, true to form for Westside Discs, the tournament Longbowman is a little less all-around stable than the VIP. I did find the tournament had a little bit more glide. I was getting a little bit more distance on it. And again, just like every other Westside Discs driver, fairway, distance, control, whatever, they're very sensitive to nose angle. You guys saw that on a few videos. I would get just a hair nose up and this thing sail up into the sky like a kite. All in all, I say I like the Longbowman. I'm not going to bag it because I am old and set in my ways. Plane flying overhead. So I mean, I just carry a bunch of Teebirds. Right now I'm only carrying 3 Teebirds. I got Champion and 2 Star, but this would be what I would consider to be Westside's Teebird. Now, if you guys follow Westside Discs at all, you know a couple years back they came out with the Stag fairway driver, which was supposed to be their version of the Teebird. Wasn't. Then they came out with the Sampo for the Trilogy Challenge last year. It was supposed to be their Teebird. It wasn't. So this one is kind of like Teebird, but even more overstable. It's got a similar amount of glide. The rim's a little wider than a Teebird, but they really go about the same distance. And again, I think that's just because this blunt nose. If you guys don't know what I mean by blunt nose, here, let me hold it up to the Firebird, see if you guys can see there. You can see the Firebird, it's just sharper, it's just shorter, it's pinched, as opposed to the more rounded, blunted edge here of the Longbowman. So they have it as a speed of 9, which I would assume they got by measuring the rim width. But as far as actual speed, as far as how fast and how far it flies, I'm going to put it more down around 7 where the Teebird is. And again, this is just another case to show you guys that flight numbers on a disc, they can be a good guide, but they can also be pretty deceiving because these are the same flight numbers as that Discmania FD3 that we threw, and they weren't even close as far as the same flight characteristics. So, for you guys who are Westside Discs fans like I am, they're really filling out their fairway driver lineup. You could get a VIP and a tournament Longbowman, throw one of the new Sampos in there, a Stag, and an Underworld, and you have all your fairway driver shots covered. You've got pretty overstable, a little bit more overstable. The Sampo is going to be straight to a milder fade but workable. You've got the Stag, which really legitimately holds any line you put it on, and then you've got the Underworld for all your understable stuff, your hyzer flips, your rollers, your big sky anhyders, what have you. So I could say that the Longbowman's a good disc. Again, I'm not going to bag it, but don't let that stop you. If you're interested in a straight to big fade disc or a disc that's going to hold a nice long hyzer, the Westside Longbowman is for you. I know I said it's close to the Innova Glow Sexton Firebird, but you know these are limited run discs. You can only get them at the pro shop, so it's not super well known. So as far as well-known discs go, I'd say this is probably closest, again, to a nice beefy Teebird. Resists winds well, holds up to a janky sidearm like I like to throw. Yeah, it's a good disc. I would recommend it if you're looking for that slot in your fairway lineup. So I hope you enjoyed the review. Feel free to leave us some comments and pick up your Westside Discs Longbowman at infinitediscs.com. And you can tell them that Big Country sent you. Until next time, get out there and huck some discs. We'll redo that one.